First one is a short question, and it's for me. I'm a Quadrise shareholder living in France. How can I qualify for the retail offer? And the answer is that you should discuss the retail offer with your broker. The broker participants need to be based in the UK to be able to participate, and I guess it'll be up to those broker participants how they deal with their own underlying clients who may not be in the UK. Next question: why did you make the offer so difficult for certain brokers? Last time I got a corporate action as part of an open offer, and could take part. And the answer to this is that the cost and lead time involved in running an open offer process is significant, and a retail offer is quicker and cheaper for issuers such as Quadrise. It's become very widely used by companies. All brokers are welcome to participate with the BookBuild platform, and according to BookBuild, the brokers can register and place an order in less than 1 hour. So if you encounter any issues, we suggest that you contact your broker to find out if and why they're unable to make that registration. They do have a duty to act in the best interest of shareholders under the Consumer Duty Act, so hopefully you'll get what you want out of that process. And then moving on, a question for David: will all retail investors that subscribe get at least a minimum allocation, and what ratio to holding is that minimum?
Thanks, Andy. So the minimum application is £100, and we're sticking to raise £1 million through the retail offer. So with the shares we've got in place, that's approximately 1 retail offer share for every 53 existing shares. Now, if we are oversubscribed, then the board will determine whether to accept any additional funds or to carry out a scale back process, but we'll not know that until we've got the final result.
Thanks, David. And Jason, can you be more specific about what the retail offer proceeds will be used for?
Yeah, I guess, again, it depends a little bit on what we receive from the retail offer. We sort of discussed that in general, I think in David's slide in the presentation, in terms of what, some outline headings in terms of where the funds will be applied. The plan is really, once the retail offer is closed and the amounts are known, we as a board will sit down and review, obviously, our plans in detail. And then essentially we'll provide an update in the interim results. We'll review that in Q1 as a board, discuss the new plan and provide an update in terms of how we plan to deploy the money, the additional money that we get to try and accelerate the business growth.
Thanks, Jason. Another for you, David. Is there a record date set for retail investor qualification that excludes any buyers in the placing and subscription that happened 24 hours before the retail offer was announced?
Thanks, Andy. Yes, I mean, if you held shares when this announcement came out at 7:05 on Friday, then you are eligible to participate in the retail offer. Just to add as well, placees are not eligible to participate in the retail offer.
Yeah, I think just coming back to the Consumer Act, I mean, brokers should be able to contact, people's brokers should be able to contact BookBuild to join the process. I think any broker that can place an open order for shares in the open market should be able to do the same thing with BookBuild. So we're slightly concerned as to, obviously, feedback why certain brokers are not willing to participate, because there's no reason why they shouldn't.
And that's partly the answer to the following question, Jason, was raised. That I am an existing Quadrise shareholder and would like to participate in the retail share offer. My current broker, iWeb, does not appear on the BookBuild list of authorised intermediaries, so I do not expect to receive a notification from them about participating in the offer. Can you please advise, as the current shareholder, how do I gain access to this retail offer? And the answer is, as Jason pretty much said, you'll need to contact your broker to ask them to participate. And we have kept the retail offer open for 5 working days until Thursday, as David says, to provide enough time for this. So there is still time for it if you're able to get hold of your broker. And moving on then, as a small shareholder, I use Barclays Smart Investor. So my question is, why am I being discriminated against being unable to take up the offer. Barclays tell me that they would be delighted to be involved. I telephoned Quadrise office for assistance, but nobody there to take the call.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I mean, this just touches on the same points previously raised. We have been in touch with BookBuild, and we've been in touch with our brokers as well. And our understanding is no one from Barclays has been in touch with BookBuild in order to facilitate shareholders being able to participate through this. And sorry that no one answered your call. Been a little busy this morning, but please leave an email with the investor relations inbox, and we will have someone get back to you.
Yeah, but BookBuild did provide an example of another company that did exactly that, contacted them and were placed a trade within an hour, right? So there's no physical reason why it shouldn't happen. It's just really lack of effort on behalf of some brokers.
And another question here with a similar emotion at play. Are you going to kick long-term shareholders in the teeth again by allowing an oversubscription in the retail offer, resulting in more dilution and traders who have sold out, crashing the share price, who are then hoping to buy in fully again at 3p, making an instant big return? And I think we need a bit of perspective here. The total dilution in the placing is approximately 8.5%. So it's not huge. And those of you who've been to previous AGMs will know that we have said and commented in the past that the company is undercapitalized to address the scale of the opportunity it's created. And therefore accepting oversubscription in the placing and potentially also in the retail offer is a historic opportunity really for us to address this. And we believe is in the interest of the medium-term value creation for the company. If the retail offer is oversubscribed, then the board will determine whether to accept any additional funds and or to carry out a scaling back process once those results are known. So it's a bit of a glancing blow to the question, but we do understand that shareholders are worried about the position. But the best way really to protect the position is to participate in the retail offer. Question 48. In the retail offer, how does the share allocation work through my broker IG? I have not been offered a share allocation. This offer needs to be fair and transparent. Please explain the full process. David, are you able to shed any light on that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a list of all the brokers who are participating via BookBuild, and IG are on that. So they're participating. We don't see any issues. So I would suggest the shareholder gets in touch with their broker to find out why there's a problem.
Yeah, that list is also available via BookBuild, isn't it? So we'll provide a list in the response to the questions in terms of the authorised intermediary list.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Another question here. Why do you think it's acceptable for directors to be able to buy many millions of hugely discounted shares while long-suffering retail investors who have supported the company through thin and no topo in brackets, are only able to buy a tiny 1/50th of their existing holding? And again, I think a little bit of perspective is needed here. The directors participated in the placing in an amount of 2 million shares. So whether that's many millions, I don't know, but it's 2 million that we participated in. It is important that investors and shareholders see that directors and management have a stake in the company and that we are, we're willing to back the company. Of course, we didn't know what the outcome of the placing would be, like anyone else did, until it had been completed. The size of the retail offer has been determined on the basis of previous open offer results. So £1 million is what typically what we've been able to raise through an open offer, and the basic ratio, as the questioner suggests, is around 1 to 50. But there isn't an upper limit on applications which is being applied by the company. We can't speak for how individual brokers might administer the scheme, but there's no upper limit on the applications which is being applied by the company. And another question: why such a discount if you are confident of the future? And I think this needs a little bit of explanation about the process. So the placing process was an accelerated book build. So the way that works is immediately prior to the launch of that book build, brokers advise the level of demand at a few price levels, alternative price levels. And there was insufficient demand or confirmed demand at the 4p per share level to be sure of success. So, if we had attempted to go at a higher level, it could have resulted in a failed placing. And we can all take our own views as to how likely or unlikely that scenario would have been. But we have to take views and to be sure of success, really. And so, under those circumstances, the board determined that it was in the interest of the company to ensure a successful placing and to accept more funds if they were offered. So that was the determination we made there. And this is going to be another question for me, I think. With the recent stock price of Quadrise being between 6p and 8p, why did the board decide on an open offer price so low? This has caused a market correction of the general stock price. I would say here that in a more drawn out placing and open offer process, you can sometimes find the share prices walk down on speculation. So what we've noticed with this process we've just been through is that it didn't happen. That the share price was maintained throughout the entire roadshow process. So I think that's testament to the fact that there was very little leakage in the market about what was going on, which is exactly how the market is supposed to operate. And since the announcement has made, the price has rebounded to some extent, creating a positive aftermarket sentiment and a motivation for shareholders to participate in the retail offer. And I think also in terms of the mechanics of that, the accelerated book build, I should refer you to the previous question as well. Another one for me, then we'll turn to David after that. Bearing in mind the placing was 1.5 times oversubscribed, do Quadrise know or are aware of the specific institutional investors that took part in the recent placing? And if so, is it the board's belief that much of the place's stock will be held longer term, that is put into funds rather than sold at a quick profit? And I would point out here that the placing was actually more than 1.5 oversubscribed. It was scaled back, so that should give some comfort that people didn't get as much as they wanted. We are aware, of course, of the institutions who participated in the placing, and include several significant longer-term shareholders, but with less than 3% of the share capital. So we may not, you may not see that as public information. We understand that these institutions are not investing to see a quick profit, but they are able to deploy their funds at their own strategy, which will be determined partly by market conditions. So there's no formal guarantees in that. There's nothing like that. But the people who are in there, we believe, have come in for the longer term, the significant size orders. I mean, for that. And under financials, David, you could perhaps reiterate, this was partly covered by your comments earlier. What was the cash position prior to the current placings, and what is the projected monthly cash burn, not including any income revenue, until the expected commercialisation date in 2026?
Thanks, Andy. So at the end of June last year, we had approximately 3 million, and that is our cash burn rate on an annual basis. So we haven't released our interims as at the end of December yet, but you'd expect the cash at the end of December to be approximately 1.5 million. Now, that doesn't include any project costs or project revenues as well. And the cash burn rate, we're not really expecting that to change, excluding project income and expenditure. Obviously, we're not really expecting that to change as we ramp up operations.
Thanks. And then last one for you, David. Then we'll hand over to Jason to take us through as many of the project questions as you can get through in the remaining time. So, David, it was suggested on the lse.co.uk discussion board that the company could do a share consolidation, as there will be almost 2 billion shares in issue. Is this something the board has considered or would be interested in, and how would this affect liquidity?
Yeah, that isn't something that's been considered at this point. Whilst we have got 1.8 billion shares outstanding, it sounds like a very big number, but it's not unusual amongst companies of our size to have that many shares outstanding. So it isn't something we're looking at doing at this point.
Okay. Jason, I'll let you be your own quiz master on this one. Just get through as many as you can, and we'll wrap in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, and there's quite a few, so I guess if I don't get through them the time available, then there will be responses provided via the IMC platform soon afterwards. And I think there's some more obviously come in during the call as well, which unfortunately we can't answer, but are quite good as well. So we'll try and get answers back for everything, obviously as much as we can within this retail process that we're under. So the first one is really under the availability of MMUs. It says, it is my understanding that the company has 2 large MMUs available for deployment. Can you provide a timetable, schedule or plan for the deployment of these units to meet the planned program of projects for 25-26? So the first 40 tonne an hour MMU that we've got will be deployed in Antwerp in this quarter for the MSC vessel trial. So that's currently with the supplier in Denmark. The second MMU is also there. That's spare at the moment. We basically left that as a free unit, which will either be utilised in the Med if we make obviously positive arrangements there, or it will be deployed to Valcor later in the year at the end of 25. But and obviously if the Med project progresses, then we'll need to buy another MMU for larger MMU for Valcor if needed. So that's the current plan for the 2 large MMUs. There's another question again around MMUs, which is really around the deployment and installation. It says, do the planned projects require the deployment installation of an MMU or mini MMU, or will the fuels for these projects be manufactured off-site and shipped to client sites? So really the mini MMUs are generally only required for trials. Obviously they do obviously work for blend on board applications as well. But currently we're using those for trials. The larger units are designed to be installed in fuel terminals or refineries for the manufacture of bio-MSAR or MSAR for shipment to clients. So obviously our blend on board systems are designed for installation on ships. I think I've answered the next one, which is really, are there any active plans to order additional MMUs either in advance or for either in advance of confirmed commercial implementation at customer sites? So not at this time. We basically own the 2 large units that I mentioned before, and one mini 4 tonne an hour unit. We also have the option to hire mini MMUs from E&H, and that's what we're doing in Morocco as an example. So we've got the one mini MMU of our own will be deployed in Valcor, and the one in Morocco is a hire unit essentially. And if we need to hire any more, we can do. And the lead time to order and receive MMUs is another question. That's still around sort of 4 to 6 months, so that hasn't really substantially changed. And there's a question there regarding, has the design of the MMU fundamentally changed for new technology or ongoing improvements to the original design? I mean, we changed or made modifications to obviously make the MMUs, which are asphalt emulsion plants, to make them work substantially for fuel. So there's been no fundamental change. Really, the additional improvements we've made, since we've been working with E&H, are really modifications to allow the production of bio-MSAR, where we're able to blend quite high percentages of glycerin, way beyond the sort of design of 30% water. So we've had to make adaptations for that to allow the biofuel addition, and we will continue to do so as we need it. There's a question there around, please can you describe the attitude of MSC towards the decarbonisation of their fleet? And should they decide not to progress with the use of MSAR solution to help them transition towards that goal, which other shipping companies might be interested in adopting it? Well, obviously, by signing off the 3-way agreement with Cargill, it definitely shows intent that MSC wish to use or test and use in the future a Quadrise solution, be it MSAR or bio-MSAR, to help them decarbonise their fleet. And that's part of a package. They've already invested money in their fleet to improve the efficiency, right? So we'd obviously encourage people to refer to obviously the latest sustainability report that they publish, which is excellent, which shows really their commitment to decarbonisation of their fleet. And obviously per our presentation, MSC are not the only shipping company that we're in discussions with, and we will continue to progress those. Now we have a facility available in Antwerp. The intention is to utilise that to supply additional fuel of bio-MSAR for trials with other customers, and also in the Med potentially with obviously the supply of fuel there as well for conventional MSAR and potentially bio-MSAR in the future. There's a very long question on that on Valcor, which I won't be able to answer today because it'll probably take me the remaining call, but I will answer by reply by email, obviously on the platform. I think I've answered this one in the presentation. It was said in previous IMC meeting that MSAR did not need to wait for the LONO to complete, and this is the bio-MSAR LONO that we plan on the MSC Leandra this year. And that the plan is to use MSAR based on its interim LONO. Does this mean that once MSC have completed the proof of concept on MSAR, that they are looking to start using MSAR soon afterwards from the Mediterranean supply that could also supply OCP? And the answer is that's correct. I mean, I think I made that fairly clear in the presentation that the project to supply MSAR to OCP is also being looked at in the context of supplying MSC with MSAR as well. They both need a high sulfur fuel oil solution as well, and it's sort of independent of what we're doing in Antwerp. So that's a separate discussions we're having refiners in that sector. There's a question in regards to OCP in Morocco. It said that OCP trial information in the placing document says that Quadrise has completed a technical and economic study, feasibility study for a potential industrial application at a second OCP site. Would this be a bio-MSAR trial, or is this another furnace or something different? I mean, that really refers to the 30-day MSAR trial at Djorfles Far on a specific line of furnaces where we've done a lot of work for. So that's really the reference there. And then looking at, there's a question in regards to Utah samples. Have the Utah samples been received? I think I mentioned we've not received them yet, as Valcor have been making some changes to their pilot plant that produces them. It's important that we get a representative sample. And unfortunately, the first sample that they had earmarked for us, they found had still a little bit of sand in, so they've improved their pilot process to do that. So we expect the first representative samples to be received early next month and to complete the testing there. And obviously, we'll update shareholders once that exercise has been completed successfully. Why has the start of the MSC trial moved from Q1 to Q2 2025? Well, the three-way agreement took a long time to get done. We only signed it at the end of November, which really formally kicked off the project start and all the preparations to prepare the MAC2 site, which is obviously Bernard's extremely busy at the QRF lab and elsewhere in ENH, etc. There's also work that needs to get done in terms of securing the additional supply logistics, which can only get kicked off once the three-way was done. And also, there's a set of bilateral agreements which need to be completed as well. So all of these things, meant that Q1 is going to be quite a busy time to get everything done, and the decision was made to move it back towards from the end of Q1 to sort of beginning of Q2. So that's really where we're at. There's a question in terms of please give a detailed update regarding the blend on board work stream, please. And I think I touched on that as part of the presentation. One of the reasons we got in contact and signed the agreement with Aura Marine was with regards to their capabilities in accelerating the blend on board work stream. And they're actually over this week to discuss that in more detail on a wider ranging face-to-face meeting with them. And blend on board is something we're considering and modifying, and optimizing rather for the focused motor yacht trial as well. So the purpose of doing that trial will be to also at some stage demonstrate the blend on board system, and we're building that also into the work we're doing for the Sea Stars EU Horizon project as well. So blend on board is very much a focus for the future, in line with all the other things that are obviously we're underway. Just finishing off here, do we have a supply proposal from a med supplier for OCP on the back of a letter of intent? And is there also capacity to supply marine vessels? The answer is yes, we're in contact with med suppliers and that's progressing. And yeah, the idea is that we are able to supply MSAR both to OCP and MSC and hopefully any others who are interested in supply from the med as well.
Thanks, Jason. I think we better draw that to a close. there, and thanks for your valiant attempt to get through as many as possible. And as you said, we'll answer the other questions offline. And just remains for me to thank our shareholders for your engagement today. Thanks very much for joining us. Quadrise is an extraordinary company in the sense that of the level of shareholder engagement that we have, and we're very we recognise that, and we thank you very much